Hi, this is Pastor John Stanko. Welcome back to what has been missing for a while, and that is an update on our expanded influence, specifically with the 3 C's. And we've been busy, we've had a lot of things going on, and now we need to get back to talking to you. This is not a no-go, this is just a slow go. And so I thought tonight we would ask Pastor Blaine to come and join us and talk to us about one of the 3 C's, which is communications, campus expansion, but tonight we want to talk about church planting. Pastor Blaine, welcome.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be back. It's good to be back talking about the 3 C's with our congregation. First of all, there are kind of 3 key strategic decisions that needed to be made. One was the person. Sheldon and Faye Williams will be the leaders of that work. We're excited that God's called them to that. We're excited about the passion they bring to it. And so that's a key issue. A second key issue is the model. What will that church plant look like? And we think that the best way to reach that community, for ACAC to reach into that community, is to plant a satellite congregation that will be an ACAC faith community in Homestead. Most of the preaching, at least at the outset, will be Pastor Rock via video. It will feel very familiar to ACAC people, but there'll be ample opportunity for Pastor Sheldon to preach live there as well, just to contextualize the word and to contextualize that ministry. And so it will be a satellite congregation, not an independent congregation. It will be tied to ACAC. And then the third key strategic consideration is the place. And we feel like we're getting close to identifying that place, and I can't talk about it just yet, but I can say this: there's a lot of excitement about having identify what we believe is the place that God wants to plant that expression, and we hope to have some news for our congregation on that soon.
Yeah. Now and we've had some meetings. I know I went to one of them on a Sunday morning where people came together to kind of hear what we were talking about. And there's still a lot of decisions that have to be made. We're going to look at a church planting team, I believe. So we're going to look to send some people out from the north side to Homestead. Is that correct?
Actually, our hope is when we actually launch that church, that anywhere from 80 to 100 people from ACAC would be part of that missions effort to launch in Homestead. And they would be joined by maybe 20 to 25 people from the community, a substantial representation of people who live in the community, and so that we would launch that congregation with somewhere in the neighborhood of 100 to 125 people, both from ACAC and Homestead.
An instant congregation. And you know, I always tell the story. I was working with a church, this isn't an American story, in Pretoria, South Africa, and they were a big church. They took 1,000 people and started a new congregation, and they tell the story. Their first service in the old congregation, God had made up to 1,000 people. So we're not going to lose in sowing some people into Homestead.
Listen, we hear that very same thing repeated so often with church plants here in the United States, that when you start sending people out to plant, that God restores those people to the mother congregation. We want to send out enough to plant a going concern, a church that can stand on its own in Homestead. And I have no doubt that God's going to grow ACAC to fill in those gaps.
Any dates, or is it a little premature for that too?
Well, I'll tell you, the clock will really start ticking once we identify that place. And so yes, we have some optimistic dates to by the end of the year to launch that ministry publicly. But it'll really start ticking once we identify that place.
Yeah, and I know I've seen announcements that we're going to have some special events leading up to that to try and build some momentum. Well, Pastor Blaine, thank you, and thank you for being with us for this endeavor. Please stay tuned, because we're going to have a lot of important information coming up in the coming weeks. We need you to be prayerfully involved, and who knows, you may need to be physically involved and be part of the church plant team. But all that is yet to be determined. We wanted to come to you and give you the latest information that we have on one of the 3 C's, which is church planting. Stay tuned. We've got a lot more to come in coming weeks.